Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Sincerely Self Podcast. Our guest today has told me that she resonated so much with the title Sincerely Self. So, you already know we're going to be diving into self empowerment and self love in this episode, which is my favorite topic. Our guest today is a lifestyle empowerment alchemist and also a psychotherapist and author. Today, we are joined by Rhonda Farrah. Rhonda, thank you for joining us today.
My pleasure, Lexi. Thank you for inviting me to be your guest.
Yes, I'm so excited for the conversation we're going to have today. Tell us a little bit about you and what led you into what you do now.
Okay. I think you mentioned I was a psychotherapist for a little over 25 years. In 2005, and we'll get to that, I put the alchemist hat on. So, a little background about me. I'm the oldest of three brothers and a sister. I grew up on the East Coast, largely in an extended family. Many people know who that is. It would be my parents, my siblings, grandparents, aunts, great aunts, all in the same household. It was primarily a household of women, big female influence there. So between that influence, not that men aren't nurturers, but a lot of nurturing and a lot of discipline with an incidence extended family in my life. And because I'm the oldest, uh, I was the kind of the role model, whether I wanted to be the role model or not. So that led me into learning to be a nurturer. Females, oldest, okay, nurturer. And I wanted to be in a service-based business at that point. I went into the field of psychology and I had plenty of credentials, educationally certified and otherwise, but my real credentials, which led me to what I do now and helped me to heal and grow, were my past life experiences. And that was totally a different life. Some people call them midlife crises. They began around my age 41, and so that was an interesting segue that I no longer called them crises. I called them adventures and opportunities for myself to begin the process of being the self with the capital S rather than a small s. Okay, the true self. And some of my escapades, adventures, learning experience were I was incarcerated in a women's federal prison camp. I also had an incidence of breast cancer and several failed marriages and divorces. And so I was learning at that point, whether I realized it or not, to take that not so good stuff, as well as the successes and the joys in my life, and make it work for me than anything else and anything less, actually. And again, I did that. I really did that. And I have no regrets in how it happened. Many people think I'm nuts, basically, that I have no regrets. No, I was where I should be in those positions in my life to learn the lessons. I called it all forward. We all call it forward, whether we wish to admit that or not. We call it forward to enhance ourself, not just image, but to find out who's really there. And so I had a lot of opportunity to peel away the onion skin and revive my sense of self. It was lost somewhere in there. So I got that opportunity through those learning lessons. And the interesting part about all of it was, the subconscious mind, she's real smart. She's operating much more than the conscious mind. And I took the cues of that. I never became a victim. I took that stuff, that not so good stuff. I really don't say negative or bad. It's all good. I think you've heard that expression. Well, it was all good when I took three steps back and listened. And it was at that point that I became dedicated to opening hearts, minds, and most especially spirit to our innate power from within. That's the power to thrive rather than merely survive, regardless of situation, circumstance, or event.
Yeah. As a fellow oldest daughter raised by predominantly women, there is just something about it being raised by powerful, independent women that just kind of like lights a spark in you. And
Yes,
I do feel like it when these adversities or like you call them, you look at them with such a refreshing perspective. I think so many times we view things as happening to us and you
mm,
view it as happening for us, which is really the truth. It really is the truth of the matter. All the things that
yes,
happen to us for a reason that is in our best interest. It's just hard to see at the time. And I loved how you said taking, three steps back after the fact, you're able to see, okay, this really was for me and it did
yes,
improve me. Maybe I just didn't see it at the time.
right. Yeah. I didn't see it, and there wasn't anything stopping from these events that happened for me because it needed to happen so that life could happen for me, so that I could become the spokesperson for taking one of them anyway, taking messes, because I have a few, and turning them into a message and to letting people know you're not alone if you choose to be the best version of yourself.
Yes, absolutely. So, Rhonda, in one of our emails, Rhonda and I were emailing back and forth as we were planning this episode. And in one of our emails, Rhonda had said, I discovered how adversity can offer powerful lessons if we're willing to embrace self-awareness and self-love. That stuck out to me so much because it is so powerful and it is so true. The more that you embrace yourself and kind of gain that relationship with yourself, you're able to kind of power through. So,
Mhm.
how were you able to get to this mindset shift?
Well, um, crawling and scraping is the short answer of that. Probably not willingly to begin with. But then I began to have my aha moments. Those are my God moments. I call it my godling self came out, and it was just like that, an aha moment for certain things in the situations I was in. I'll give you an example. Situation of a woman's federal prison camp. Ever, it wasn't bars or anything, but ever spend your time with 300 women, all knowing what they want?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's intense.
And I kept saying to myself, I do not belong here. About a year into it, I stopped banging the phone against the wall and telling whoever I was talking to, whether it was an attorney, whether it was a family member, a friend, get me out of here. I don't belong here. I stopped. And that there's my breath, my God breath, the aha breath. Stop banging the phone against the wall. And that's when my life really began. That was the surrender to, okay, self needs to come out. And I still didn't know that's what I was missing, but I had lost my sense of self. But now it was coming back. When that happened and I stopped hitting the phone against the wall, by the way, I have a non-violent, non-drug related charge. And, but it was very daunting in the beginning to see a federal indictment that said United States of America versus Rhonda Farrah. Very daunting. I'm not public enemy number one. I've never had a speeding ticket. Okay. So
Yeah.
that was, but again, it was all happening for a reason. I could have become the victim, poor me, poor this, poor that. Instead, I surrendered. And I remember till this day saying the words, oh, well, and there's my God breath. It's a confirming breath that I need to speak this to whoever's listening. By the way, whoever you are listening and watching this, you are here for a reason. There are no accidents, happenstance, or coincidence. You were meant to be here. So my life in federal prison camp became teaching. That's what I did. Taught wellness classes to my fellow women inmates. And it was like every excuse in the book they gave. And I finally said, this is a gift and a blessing that we are here. They didn't understand what I meant. Gift and a blessing because we have the time now, no pun intended, to be the best version of ourselves. When you go home, you're not going to be able to take care of your body, mind, and spirit. You'll have to pay your rent, take care of your kids, get a job, all of that. let's use this to our advantage to become the best version of ourselves. I call that rehabilitation. Okay.
Oh
Which is
yeah.
why you're supposed to be in there, right? Which is, that's another story, another podcast. And, but that's how I got to that point. I said, wow, I have been pivoted right back into being of service to others. Whoever says God doesn't have a sense of humor is like, no, they don't know what they're talking about. Oh, no. So
Yeah.
I go through that and every motion denied to get out, want this dismissed. No, nothing happening. I'm there. So making the best of it. I'm teaching, I'm writing a lot, I'm listening a lot, I'm doing a lot of inner work as well. And for people that don't understand, if you're going through something you really want to heal, the best way is to help others heal. That's a being of service to others. That's why we are here. I know that. Why we are on this planet, whatever we are doing, we each have a ministry of one sort or another. But it has to do with being of service to others. So I proceeded through that, and I knew 11 months before my release, I have a lump on my breast, and I'm not doing anything about it with the Bureau of Prisons. I'm not. I'm waiting till I get home. And that was my goal. I said, okay, I'm waiting till I get home. I don't like what I'm seeing here with medical or otherwise. I just said, no, everybody's doing the best they can, including the Bureau of Prisons, but that's not good enough for me.
Mhm.
I waited, and it was like that was another surreal thing. Prison was surreal, but this was even more surreal. Hey, I'm a long distance runner, an avid runner. I was. I'm a jogger, fast walker now. And because that was over 20 years ago. And but I'm good with all that. And I said, this can't be happening, breast cancer. So I went home, went to my doctors. Hmm, yeah, better get a mammogram. Oh, better do a biopsy right away. And I'm still in the surreal, like, come on. And of course, the countless phone calls or visits to my home. What was your biopsy? What was your and I said, well, not the best news, but not the worst news. So I got the border stage 3 breast cancer. Unbelievable to me.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. And it was then was diving deeper into, I deal with the emotions and the thoughts. Okay, why do I have breast cancer? Never taken any street drugs, ate right, exercised, healthy lifestyle. And my research gave me the research. The incidence of breast cancer in women can be very much attributed, or other influences physically and chemically, but very much attributed to the fact that we do not nourish and nurture ourselves.
Mm.
Harvard study, and there's other studies too, but basically they point in that direction. And that's exactly what I was not doing, nourishing or nurturing myself. I was good in a service-based, industry. That was my that was my gig. I'm going to help others, right? Well,
Mhm.
it was then again, as I mentioned, I became dedicated to awakening hearts, minds, and most especially spirit to the innate power that we have within us. And
Yeah.
and the interesting part was I I don't like doctors, I don't like hospitals. And I'm thinking this is not, you know, and my family is saying, "Oh my God, go and start chemo, do what they tell you to do." And I was a little reluctant to do that. And I always ask, and then I receive an answer. Okay, God, what am I? Is there another way around this?
Yeah, you're like any other outlet I could use.
Please. And it wasn't the let's make a deal with God voice or instance, but um, a friend came home and brought me this practitioner's card. He was a medical Qigong practitioner. I said, my answer. I asked, now I have my answer. I went and saw him for several sessions, did not start chemo, and my family and my daughter, everyone was flipping out. What happened to her? What is she doing? And my daughter, I remember asking me, when are we going to get a break? I said, honey, don't worry. I'm going to dance at your wedding and see my grandchildren. Those words resonate. And that was true because that all happened. That all happened 12, 13 years ago. So the medical Qigong practitioner said, go back and see your oncologist because Western medicine has the best diagnostic tools. Long story short, went back. My daughter's with me. My oncologist, she said, I don't know what you're doing, Rhonda, but you're shrinking your tumor. Well, my daughter's head spun around on her neck and said, you're buying this shit too? Honest to God. And I knew, okay, I got this fear. I'm still operating in fear, operate in faith, Rhonda. And I said, well, the best way to get over a fear is to face it. I started chemo. Then I had the margins cleaned out on my right breast, and I was okay. That's 19 years ago. I was, I've been cancer free, thank God, for 19 years. So I went through it. I not only survived, but I thrived through it because the gal who didn't like hospitals was now going once a week to mentor and to facilitate a group, a support group for women who have breast cancer, because men can get breast cancer too, but women who have breast cancer. And there I was again of service to others and to always ask. So I learned to operate in faith rather than fear. When I was in Monterey, California, laying on a gurney, waiting to be wheeled in to the surgical center in the OR, it was a beautiful day. I'm looking out the window and I'm having a little conversation. And the nurse comes over. She was, I found out, be my OR nurse.
Mhm.
And I was scared, but I was talking to God. And she came over and she said, what can I do for you, Rhonda? Do you need something? I said, no, I'm just having a little conversation with God. And she said, okay. And she looked at me and she could tell, yeah, I got some fear in my eyes. So I said, I think I'm going to be okay. No, I know I'm going to be okay. And she looked at me and my hair began to grow back. It was fuzzy from the chemo. And she pulls back her skull cap and she says, oh, maybe your hair will grow back like mine did. I asked for a sign. There's my God bumps. Am I going to be
Yeah.
all right? Here's a woman that went through what I went through, and she's thriving and helping others to go through that incidence of breast cancer. And I never referred to it as, so I'm very grateful for that sign. I've had a lot of signs along the way. We all do, but are we listening? Are we going within? Come on now. Are you, well, you might hear it, but really, are you listening? So I knew then that that power within me was working and working. Prison prepared me for breast cancer, prepared me for this that I was going through. And I moved along. I moved along. And again, operating in faith, not fear. I believe there are two emotions, fear and love. That's it. And I never referred to having breast cancer as my battle with breast cancer. I don't like that. I'm It's not a battle. I have an incidence and experience with breast cancer. I'm not a survivor. I'm a thriver. I'm a breast cancer thriver. And that's it. That's who I am. So again, I was finding that power from within, that authentic power. I call it my godling self, not merely my earthling self.
Mhm.
helping others do that. And the worst incidents was, two divorces. There were other failed relationships, but your question was about self and how did I get to do that? Okay. That was the toughest thing, being abandoned. Okay.
Yeah.
That's tough. And I thought to myself, okay, what's going on with me? I really have a lot of conversations with myself. I was no stranger to mirror work, but boy, would I get serious about it when I looked in the mirror, real serious, and said, aha, breath. Do you really like yourself, Rhonda? I started there. And then I started, which is what I do with clients, with audiences. What is it that you like about yourself? So many of us have gotten in the mirror and said, oh my gosh. I mean, I was just fidgeting with my hair before we came on. And, but that's okay. But my point is, if we want to live the best version of ourselves, to live the life we desire, rather than year after year settling for less and living life in default mode, we must, it's essential to fix our reflection first. It's not everybody else, it's us. It's
Absolutely. Yeah.
self. So, sincerely, self, here I am. And that's the message. That's really the message that you can take whatever it is you're going through, whatever journey you're on, and make it work for you rather than anything less. And so that's what I guess I teach it, but I support women 40 and over, especially, because that's when my escapades began, to be the best version of themselves and to peel away the onion skin and understand you are whole, perfect, and complete just the way you are, no matter what you've been through. Learn to love that and watch and see that you will love and fall in love with who you are becoming. There's no question about it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Rhonda, I think it's so amazing that as you were telling your story, you were saying how, God really does put us in places where we can find a way to service others. And that is
Mhm.
a main reason why we're in the situations we're in. And you using the example of the way you're able to minister to the women that you were around, even in these circumstances where you could have had the poor me or the victim mentality very, very easily. And instead, you're like, okay, I'm here. What am I going to do with the time that I have here in this situation that I'm in this circumstance that I'm in? And it is such a divine intuition kind of way to live your life, just being so in tune with God has a plan for me and I have a plan for me. My subconscious has a plan for me. I may not be aware of it right now, but I've got to trust it and I've got to go along with it. And it is so amazing that you've been able to talk about these things in such a empowering way. And I'm sure there's so many of our audience members right now who are like, whoa, I've been looking at these things with a completely different lens than I should.
Mhm.
And so we're gonna have to, if you're open to it, Rhonda, do a part two to this episode sometime because
Absolutely.
I know we could carry this conversation for so much longer. But the last thing I kind of want to touch on really quick, Rhonda, is your fix your reflection first approach. Tell us a little bit about that and what it consists of.
It's not for the faint of heart. I offer one-on-one coaching for that. It's a year-long program. And I also offer 12 weeks of fixing your reflection first, where we delve into in a group. That's a group setting. Because I do believe we learn from one another, we support one another in one way or another. And that's in 12 weeks. So it's taking it in bite-sized pieces. Let's not, we're not going to do 12 months. Let's do 12 weeks. And I have cohorts throughout the year. One will begin next week, I believe. Yep. And you get me live. So the The point of being able to look in the mirror and love and like and esteem and respect and appreciate who you are, regardless of anything that has happened to you, regardless of all of it, is the first step. It's an essential step. And that's where Fix Your Reflection First begins. That's where I began. I'm a psychotherapist for a long time. However, I'm the alchemist now. I said,
Mhm.
I'm going to delve into, I don't even want to delve into my own stuff other than how I found the gift and the blessing. And that's a lot of the work that we do. We practice gratitude, we practice forgiveness, first of self and then others. And we look in that mirror and have those hard conversations with ourselves. And then we must listen to see answering back because that's our truth. And I would absolutely love to do a part two of this and dive into some exercises with listeners and viewers with our communities. Yes.
Absolutely, we must. And if this has resonated with you, I highly encourage you guys to go check out Rhonda's coaching. If you feel like you're stuck and you're not even sure where to start with self-perception or self-love, this program is really going to be your key where you'll have a community who's also kind of doing the same thing, starting at ground zero and working their way up. And Rhonda is an amazing teacher and has some crazy experiences. So she is such an amazing person to learn from. So thank you so much, Rhonda. Like I said, we're definitely going to have her on here again. So be looking forward to that episode. But thank you for sharing your story with us today.
It's my pleasure. May I leave our audience with just a couple things quickly?
Oh, absolutely.
Well, the first thing is whatever it is you're going through right now, you are not alone. So reach out to someone you trust, reach out to your higher self, which we'll go into at some point.
Hmm.
Out to whether it's me or someone else, reach out to someone, a professional that can help you help yourself to be the best version of yourself. And whatever tunnel you're going down, the light at the end of the tunnel, you see that light. It's not a train. It's the way, it's the truth, it's the roadmap, it's the guidance to being that best version of yourself. So, no fear, no fear. That's what it is. And as I leave all my audiences, whether I'm the host or whether I'm the guest, my invitation to all is to treat life as if it were ice cream and enjoy it before it melts.
Yes. Yes, it's all about the perception that you have, truly, of yourself, of the world, of the things that are happening to you.
Yes.
Yes, when I have Rhonda again, we're going to dive more into the spiritual aspect. I would love to talk more on higher self, on subconscious mind, on alchemy. So
Yes.
be looking forward to that, everyone. And I will see you next week.